Hi, I'm Tori, and I want to welcome you to the Grass and Roots podcast, where we explore the power of community and the importance of civic engagement in today's world. I am so excited to have Dauda Sesay with us today, the founder of the Louisiana Organization for Refugees and Immigrants, or LORI, as you'll be hearing it referred to in this episode. Dauda has an incredible and powerful journey to share, one that led him to dedicate his life to supporting refugees and immigrants in Louisiana. As immigration continues to be a huge topic of conversation, it's essential that we understand the challenges these communities face and how we can help. In today's episode, we'll discuss the work Dauda is doing through Lori, the resources they provide, and how his journey fuels the advocacy and support that makes a difference in the lives of so many. Okay, thank you so much, Dada, for being here with me. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. Immigration is such a huge topic of conversation right now, and I know it's just so important that we discuss these topics to be able to help people affected. So I'd love to start with hearing more about you and what led you to getting involved in this work and later founding Lori.
Thank you so much, the Grass and Root podcast team, and it's a pleasure to be here and then also showing that you guys gaining interest in immigration and having me at your studio today. My name is Dauda Sesay, and I'm originally from Sierra Leone, the west coast of Africa, and I've been in the U.S. since 2009, and I got resettled as a refugee because of the war back in my home country, Sierra Leone. In that war, I lost my dad. In that war, I lost my 7 years old sister, who was burnt alive when my family house was set on fire. Um, I spent over a decade in a refugee camp in the Gambia, and life in the refugee camp was um, really tough. Where basically you got a bunch of people, like 10, 20 people live in a whole small space, and there's no sense of privacy. And during that time, there was no designated like a bathroom. Sometimes I wait at night in order to take a shower when it's dark, and you have to go in the bush to use it. And the worst part is when it's raining seasons, all of those physicists that you live in the bush, they flooded back into the camp. And then you have to face with other um, diseases that deals with the dirt and everything that is coming that way. Um, but luck has its other way. Luck has its way, and me and my family were able to resettle in the US. Me, my wife, and my 6 month old daughter at that time, she was born at a refugee camp as well. And life in the US was challenging. Family orientations, and I will have to learn pretty much the language as well to polish my English. And even the light switch, the way you flip it is completely opposite. So it's a big adjustment. But in short, and I saw how individual helped me. And that's the first thing that led to the forming of Lori, how individual helped me and my family to adjust. And then I realized that why can't we just create a system, an organized body to support refugees and immigrants that are coming. And so with that, that's the first thing. And I started volunteer at Catholic charity, engaging with Catholic charities. And 2016 presidential election comes in. And that really changed everything. Because you hear people are talking about me, my family, my community in a different way that doesn't represent us. And I realized that if you let people tell your story the way they see fit, you're giving them that much power. And I refuse people to define my community and tell my story. And that's how I start disorganizing. Yes, because in me, I'm a living example of someone that have escaped traumatic situation, that have Okay, persecutions. Um, just as a teenager, like every other 16 years old, have that inspiration, full of life, and they want to be who they wanted to be. But for me at that age, life changed. Yes. And that's when I lost my
Mm-hmm.
dad in front of me. That's when I got shot on my leg and my right hand almost cut off, and it means I need to only cut my thumb. That's why this two is not equal. And the only crime we committed is because of wearing my school uniform and me and my friends playing when the rebels attacked. Five of my friends, childhood friends, suffered the worst humanitarian crisis with their hands chopped off. So I know the pain, and hearing during that time politicians are talking about our story and other people and define us gives me that urge to counter that. And that gave the rise to Lori. And today, Lori has become one of the leading immigrant rights organizations in the state of Louisiana. We started with 5 countries within the mix. Initially, we started first for Africans and how we can bring Africans together and blacks together, just celebrate the culture. And then we realized that it's more to that. And then we start reaching out to other community. And since we've engaged, and now we have engaged over 55 countries within the coalition. And that shows how diverse the state of Louisiana is. In my wildest dream, being in Louisiana for the past 14 years, not knowing that if not for this organization, I won't be knowing that we have over 50 countries in the States. Countries, capacity, so that's what it says. So at Lori, basically, we provide essential support in 3 key areas of our work, which is education and access to resources, where we empower immigrants with the tools they need for them to succeed. So we educate them about the laws and educate them about what they supposed to be careful, things to do and what not to do through our ESL classes, English classes, and through our citizenship classes. We give them the tools they need. And then also we connect them to resources like how to apply for Medicaid, how to apply for food stamp if you're available, and housing as well. We reach out to cities officers that has those programs. We are not asking to create, but how can you provide language access in some of those resources so that people will be able to access those resources. The second pillar is civic engagement and community building. In that civic engagement portfolio, that's where our cultural event that we host every year, the World Refugee and Immigrant Day, which is one of the biggest global events in Louisiana, that is organized and run by refugees and immigrants. So with that, and then with the civic engagement, when we educate you, you become a citizen, and then we support you that, hey, now that you are a citizen, you do your naturalization, you pass your test, now we follow through with you. How can you engage in voting so that your voice can be heard? You will contribute to the development of your city, your state, and the nation as a whole. Because many refugees and immigrants, they are afraid to engage in politics and voting. I'm a typical example of that back home because of political affiliations, and it created a chaotic situation because even at that time I was not eligible to vote. But when the crisis comes, we the children suffered. Yeah. So, and that is the reason why the civic engagement is a critical part of our work. And then the third part is policy and advocacy. That is where the blend of our work comes in, where we know how can we advocate for inclusive policies. We are not asking for more. We just want to making sure that we felt belong, so that we should be able to contribute to the social and economic fabric of our state.
Thank you so much for that. You said so many amazing things that I want to touch on. First of all, thank you for sharing your story. It's so powerful. And I can definitely see, I just appreciate hearing more about your journey and what really led you to this. Also, I want to add, I didn't know that there are 55 countries in this state, and I've lived in Louisiana forever. So I appreciate hearing that. It really is such a diverse state. I didn't even realize that. Um, but then also, you had said something about people telling your story and the story of immigrants and refugees, and that a lot of times get it wrong or take the humanity out of that conversation, which can lead to, I guess, like the political climate maybe that we're in right now. But I want to ask, you touched on the challenges that refugees and immigrants faced in your own journey and also through others' journeys. But can you
Mhm.
talk more about those challenges and specifically what people get wrong about it? What does the average American not understand about the process of the immigration process? And I guess what can we learn more about that? How can we be better allies and better explain and educate people on what the realities are?
Well, thank you so much. And just be one thing is just be authentic. When you talk about refugees and immigrants, okay, it's just a label. But think beyond that label. We are human beings. Refugees are your neighbors, and those are your colleagues at work, and they are classmates to children in school, to our children or our siblings, and they are the nannies that helps take care, and they are those hospitality workers that works in the hotel. They are doctors that works in the hospital. They are the farmers that help pluck the fruits. They are the fish workers. They are the contractors that help fix the roof and then make the roads after a disaster. So it's just simple. Let's take the human aspect of it. And and then yes, most of the time is people wanted to divide us. Like the time is divide and conquer. Like you can hear that, oh, immigrants are taking jobs. And now they move beyond and saying that we are taking black jobs. And then long going that we're taking Hispanic jobs. So what they're doing is they're not just dividing us, creating those divides within for the black from the diaspora and the African Americans, but they're trying to divide us amongst immigrants as well. Like there is a good immigrant and there is a bad immigrant. So all of those things. And but I always tell some of my colleagues and say, okay, just look, what is the percentage of immigrants in this country? The population is about 325 to 350, the population of this nation, which is above 320. Immigrants make less than 5%. Or less than 10% of the populations. But every problems that happen in this country, the other side, they know how to talk about it to blame the immigrants, create that fear. Um, like immigrants, we are not for safety. We are for safety.
Mhm.
Because what I experienced in my life, as a 16 years old boy who fleeing war, and the fear of being haunted, of losing my family, of the fear of knowing where I belong. We want to live in a safe environment more than anyone because we've seen what chaos have done. And immigrants, we are resilient. We wanted to work. Yes, we wanted to build back what we've lost. So yes, when you're talking, just think on the human part of it. And I'll just give you a typical example. Now just see, with all this that is happening, the unfortunate incident that happened with an 11 years old committing suicide in Houston. because that child been bullied of his family, of our family immigration status. I couldn't hold it no more. And I see that same fear in the eyes of children here in the state of Louisiana. My daughter, for the first time, I'm in the car with her. I was driving in a school zone, but school was not at that time. But I was driving and she saw the sign 20 miles an hour and she yelled at me, "Daddy, slow down." I was driving at 30 because no school zone, it normally started 5. I was driving at 30, but she saw 20 and yelled at me, "Daddy, slow down." And then she said, "I do not want us to get any involvement with ICE because I'm afraid." And that yell really hits me hard. Even though now I'm a US citizen, but my child doesn't know. All she knows, what she says, that immigrants and refugees being put in a bucket. And my 9 years old saying, "Daddy, I don't want to lose you and mommy and big sister. I'm afraid." Those children are supposed to be in school, supposed to live their lives, but now they are afraid losing us. And it gives me that flashback of my fear at that time, at 16, when I got separated. And the flashback of me have my hands hold and seeing my dad rushed at the scene, pleading for this rebel to release us, leave the children alone. He knelt down. Those are his last words that I heard. So what we're saying right now is just taking us back in a bad space. So to your answer in short, just see immigrants as normal humans, blood and flesh. And I just wanted to do right to raise our family and be part of this nation and thank this nation for giving us a second chance at life to live and thrive.
Yeah, thank you. You put it so beautifully, and I appreciate your ability to use specific examples because I think that's so true. The human aspect of that. I know we talk about it on past episodes, but that's how we change this narrative is just seeing people as people and being able to talk to one another and hear each other's stories. So I really appreciate the way that you're putting it because I do think I don't know, I think it draws it back to the core of that conversation of just seeing people as people, because that's what we are. We're neighbors and friends and community. I want to ask you about the role that community and community collaboration plays in your work. I know you touched on it earlier, but what does that look like when working with Lori and with trying to get resources out to people, in the immigration process or just immigrants in Louisiana? What role does community play in your work?
Thank you. There's so many and that you can put and that you can break down.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because number one, Lori, the Louisiana Organization for Refugees and Immigrants was built on the belief that no one should walk this journey alone.
Mm-hmm.
The journey of refugees and immigrants, and you come in here, you shouldn't walk that alone. So that's why it's the community collaboration is at the heart of everything that we do. Yeah, because from you touchdown at the airport coming as a refugees or an immigrant that comes through the border or an asylum seeker that comes in here, you need some kind of support to be able to adjust. So yes, first thing I would say is, as a community, get to know our refugees and immigrants. Get to know them. hear the story and see their experience and see what you all have in common. And then the second is we invite community to celebrate. Like I talked about the annual cultural festival that we have, right? And it has grown from initial 100 to 150 people attend to last year we got close to 3,000 people
Wow.
attended. We moved it from a small space and we held it at the River Center downtown. And like I said, with over 55 countries and see the international food that we have provided. We have over 110 um, different global dishes that were there. And then the resource table. So, and see a blend of not just immigrants, you saw the regalia, the traditional regalia, and then seeing the local residents, which are made up about 60% of attendees. So that shows that what we do, it is really built into the collaborations with the community, the business, schools, and the churches as well. And say about church again, that's another powerful partnership as well that we had with Together Baton Rouge, which is being an institution of over 35 church faith leaders, and the faith community has been a safe haven for refugees and immigrants. I came through the Catholic Charity Program as a refugee, and since then, the bishop office has been opened and supporting us. And this coming World Refugee Day, we're gonna be hosted at the Catholic Life Center. So which shows that there's collaboration. And then the other thing I would say, mutual aid. Mutual aid, no refugee, especially at this moment right now, there is an increased fear. And the fear has gone to some of the anti-immigrant policies that have been implemented here in Louisiana, the local policies. So when you provide mutual aid to families that are afraid, that could go a long way. And two things I'll mention again is solidarity. A message of solidarity. It could come from the businesses. It could come from the faith communities or the educational institution. Let's show that, yes, regardless of our political affiliations, but we have a heart and soul of a human. And that let's support the refugees and immigrants. And finally, policies that are impacting humanity, not just refugees and immigrants, and the policies that are tend to damage our democracy, it is being implemented by our elected officials. They are the enablers. So yes, we can strengthen our collaboration so that we can advocate and reach out to our leaders and hold them accountable so that they can do the right thing, that put that center humanity first.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that sounds great. And one thing that you mentioned with the just the amount of different cultures that you bring together when it comes to its community collaboration, it makes me think how does your organization handle cultural differences when helping all of these different people from different communities all in Louisiana? What has that experience been like?
Yeah, that's a good one. And I think one thing that's helped us is it's not more what are the differences, what is our unified fight?
Mm.
What is the thing that brings us together? We all wanted to live as in a safe and healthy environment. We all want our children can go to school and get the best education they need without being bullied because of their race, their accent, or the way their name is called. We, as an immigrant, want to making sure that yes, there is language access and cultural competency introduced in some governmental offices and public spaces so that immigrants can have an equitable access to the resources that are available. But collectively, every human being, I believe that we want to live in a safe environment. Yes. So that unified issues, that is our strength. And that is the base that we go on with. Now, yes, how we got there, sometimes there is a challenge. Yes, the cultural barriers, and it's different. Like for me coming here, I faced that, but I had to adjust, which means if I am talking to someone that is superior or elected official or senior person at jobs, or I'm going for a job interview, I had to learn that maintaining eye contact is a disrespect. Yeah. So when I'm talking to leaders, like I bow down like this, they're
Mhm.
thinking that you're hiding something, but it's just a cultural difference.
Sure.
And and yes, and the Muslim community, sometimes women don't shake hands with men. Yeah. So you have to understand and respect those boundaries as well. Yeah, you see, right now, like we're in a Ramadan, or there's a fasting. So, and it's a holy month. And
Mhm.
then we have the Lent season for the Christian as well, and fasting. So we have all this, but sometimes you comes to the celebrations and you see all of these different cultures and we all blend in because it is that unifying purpose. And that's what keeps us. Yeah, it's just like siblings even. They fight, they quarrel. But because of the tie of a family keeps them together. They will fight today, they will quarrel today. Before you think in an hour or two, they will be sitting down eating in the same plate. Yeah. So, so it's the same family orientation we are building here. Yeah. Because we have so much fight ahead of us,
Mm,
for us to fight within. And that's when we talked about narrative change in the
mhm,
communication aspect and how we able to do that within.
mm,
Yes. And, and a typical example is when this legislative season had just passed last year, 2024. And we saw how we came together. Where Louisiana was supposed to be on the verge of becoming the state with the worst anti-immigrant bills. I know we are small, but people don't see that. During that time, three anti-immigrant legislation were introduced, which the SB 208, which basically is similar to what they have in Florida, which is the anti-sanctuary city law. Yeah, they have in Florida going after New Orleans after we fought for 9 years to make New Orleans become a welcoming city. And we are fighting to get Baton Rouge become a welcoming city. They introduced SB 208. And then second of that SB 208, what it does that as well is it gave local law enforcement, like the police, either the sheriff, the state, or the city police, to act as ICE agents. Louisiana has an agreement that we fought hard, the 287G agreement, where the sheriff deputized ICE. We fought hard, and last year, we finally get rid of all the 387G in the state of Louisiana. Well, for Baton Rouge, I think, the Teacher Parish, and Terrebonne Parish as well. All those three we are having them, we're able to get rid of all those three. Louisiana became the first state in the South to get rid of 287G as of the start of 2024. And today, I just learned that Bossier City, they they just now enacting 287G. So you see, because of those enablers of those law and the politicians and what they're doing. And then the second bill was SB 388. which is similar to what is in Texas as before. People are saying Texas has the worst anti-immigrant bill. Louisiana have it, and it has been into law. Just as an undocumented immigrant, you cross the border between Texas and Louisiana. It's considered a criminal offense to criminalize migrants. Just travel within states. And we're not talking about the definition the governor has for immigrants. So that's, and then the third one is SB 279. But that's where, to your questions, how we come together, regardless of our cultural differences and all that. We're able to storm the Capitol for that bill, where we have hundreds of our people showed up. For the first time, the Capitol was filled up with so many people to oppose one bill. And yes, and we're able to defeat that. So that shows that when we unified on one issues, and in that time you have American citizens, we have some undocumented immigrants, we have refugees, and we have both black, brown, Spanish, and Africans in the house to protest and oppose that bill. And we finally defeat that. So yes, our unified visions and purpose is what keep us together.
Thank you for that. In your opinion, are there any unique things about fighting this in Louisiana compared to other states?
I think one thing I will say that set us apart, the community. And yes, people say Louisiana is a red state, politically, yes. But I'll say with the community, those are people that has compassion. And the community of Louisiana, and they wanted to see refugees and immigrants thrive. And Louisiana, and especially in Baton Rouge, it's a family oriented. Yes, there are so many challenges, but there are beauty as well. Yes, and during the season, farm season, the crawfish season, we see the immigrant community are working. And some of that, and we've seen like the Louisiana Workforce Commission, some point they've set up resource table in our activities. And they wanted to reach out, they need seasonal workers that are immigrant. So that shows that, yes, that's one unique because the immigrant labor is needed here in Louisiana. And then also the unique social and cultural integration that we bring in, which not just only help the immigrant, but it helps students as well that are American students that have been friends with immigrants. Sometimes listening to their colleagues' stories help them knowing that, wow, I am blessed growing up here, living here, and the resources I'm having. And sometimes changes their behavior even in school and also within themselves. And I've heard that so many times with some of my colleagues in my previous job, how just me being in the midst and what I've been through and how them that has helped them think through life and appreciate. Yeah. So that uniqueness of we able to tell our story and relate to what the community are going here. And that's what I would say. Because one thing we tell people is when we win positive legislation for immigrants, they are not just victory for refugees and immigrants, but they are victory for the entire family and for the communities.
Absolutely. I loved that answer. That was beautiful. I just want to say, before we close, thank you again so much for sharing your insights and more about your story and your invaluable work with Lori. It's just incredible. And your dedication to supporting and advocating for refugees and immigrants is just really inspiring. The impact of your work in fostering inclusivity and focusing on community collaboration is just, it's undeniable in the way that you've spoken today. So I just really appreciate that. Do you have anything else that you want to add add? Any final thoughts that you want to leave the listeners with before we close?
I just wanted to say that, first and foremost, thank you for having us. And I want to say thank you to the people of this great nation because of their compassion and love for humanity and their contributions. That's what's brought refugee like me here in the United States. And I came to this country with nothing but hope for later on. And today, because of that investment in me, I stand here as a leader fighting for others that have gone through similar challenges that I've been through. And I want you all to know that our struggles, especially the refugees and immigrants, our struggles are real. But so is our strength and the value that we add to this nation. Together, and I urge all of you, we can build a Louisiana that doesn't just embrace diversity, but celebrate it. Let's reject hate. Let's embrace love. Because when we succeed, we all do succeed. And just remember, belonging begins with us. So, thank you.
Thank you.